What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Get your libations, get yourself together, do whatever you need to do for the moment. You know, fam, I hope everybody's doing okay. Somebody asked me the other day, asked me something crazy. Yvette, I'm not going to do mailbag tonight, but it probably will be a regular feature. Said, well, why the intro be so long? Well, first of all, I'm waiting for people to kind of fill in. Nobody knows exactly what time I'm going to show up. But second of all, sometimes you just got to let the beat ride out. Just have yourself a little fun. Enjoy yourself. Why are you so serious? And those of you who aren't watching it live, and I'm sure this person wasn't because they didn't make a comment in the live chat, they made a comment afterward, you can skip ahead. Oh, people make problems with it. Oh, no problems. What's wrong with you? Anyway, fam, let's take care of business. Let's remember that on August 1, that's a Thursday, so we'll have the Monday show, the Wednesday show, and then we will be discussing this book, How the Irish Became White. That is our book club, How the Irish Became White. So, please make sure that you show up for that, because we are about political education, a political foundation. Some of you are free to go and watch the debate, because I know that's on. I was trying to watch a little bit of it before I came off in here. And hopefully we'll get done in enough time. I know how I do, but I'm gonna try to compact it a little bit tonight so we can get done in time to at least watch the highs and lows. Of course, I'll watch all of it either tonight if I don't fall asleep, or first thing in the morning or something like that, so I can talk about and discuss it. But we coming on the same time. It is what it is sometimes, family. You know it is what it is. Black life, everything. What you gonna do? So, fam, listen. Please hit that like button for me. Please, please, please hit the like button for me. That costs you no money. What's wrong with this thing? Get on my nerve. That costs you no money. Absolutely hit that like button. Subscribe to brown.com. If you have not already gone to subscribe to brown.com, please do that. Just add your name to the list in case I need to contact people for whatever reason. Please do that. I would appreciate it. Please, 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 please do that. If you want to donate, you go to donatebrown.com. If you want to, if you want to subscribe to Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/YCarnell, all of that good stuff. Just so you know, hit that bell if you haven't hit that bell already, so that you get notifications when it's time to come on and I'm here. Ping! And check that too, and make sure your bell is still engaged. Check that for me too. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. We do black politics, we do political education, we do everything that I think that we need to do in terms of getting people, growing people to a place, and growing us all. I'm growing too. It's not just everybody else, to a place where we can really do politics on another level. That's very important. So let me start getting to it, because I said I want to get to it, and I got to get to it. I have a tendency to be long-winded. So let me try to get to it, family. Long-windedness can be a curse. So I saw this, and I want to read the Trump quote. He was talking to The Hill, and I want to talk about it. He says, I think, he's talking about reparations right here. He said, I think it's a very unusual thing, Trump said, of the possibility of reparations. You have a lot of, it's been a very interesting debate. I don't see it happening, no. don't see it happening. No. That's what he said. And then I saw a whole bunch of Negroes start going off. I told you it wasn't gonna happen. I see Trump he done sealed the deal. I told you it wasn't that, but I told you the people, what they feel about us is how they feel about us, and that's all it's gonna be. So what I want to first of all say is that this is a bipartisan thing. This isn't just Trump. This is awful. But this isn't just him who is saying this. And understand who he is who is saying this. Understand that Trump's whole life was built by his father accessing FHA loans to build homes for people. Understand, a man whose life was built by government is telling us that we can't have government for our lives when we built the country. Your papa didn't. Not your papa. We did that. So you're telling us, understand how dastardly that is. Please understand that as we have this conversation, how awful that is. What he's saying. But I want you to understand one thing, because we normally say, oh, see, that's just Trump. He's awful. Well, yeah, that's true. He is. We can agree on that. But he isn't the first president to say no to reparations. I don't understand. I don't care how uncomfortable you look in that picture, Barry. I don't care how uncomfortable you look in that picture. Your interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates, where you actually said, well, you know, we can't do reparations, and we've gone through all the stuff. We've gone through all of the reasons before on this show, so I won't go back through it about everything he said to Ta-Nehisi Coates in that conversation. What he said was, well, the immigrants would be upset, blah, 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 and they didn't do it, and black people just want to feel a certain way, and blah, 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 blah. So that's what happened, and it paved the way for other people to say no. It paved the way for everybody else to say, I'm just saying what Barack Obama said. What are you expecting of me? Your first black president said no. So I'm going to say no too. We can all say no to you. That's kind of where we are here in this conversation. You know, Democrats and Republicans don't agree on a whole lot. But one thing that they absolutely agree on is what we're not owed. Anti-blackness is something that that is a bipartisan agreement. Now think about that. They don't agree on anything else. They just agree that nobody owes us anything. Now think about that when you think you have a party. When you think you have somebody who represents you. I want you to think about that when you think, well, our politicians represent us. No, well, I don't know about that. Because we can't even pass the bill to study reparations. But here's Clyburn tonight. The House has passed a much needed emergency funding humanitarian aid to the border. People deserve food, water, hygiene, blankets. Now, when we talk about food and water, I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not making a case right now about anything. What I'm telling you is that, let me just ask a question when we talk about people deserve food, water, hygiene. If you want to talk about water, how's Flint doing? I'm just asking a question. How is Flint doing? Because you're talking about who deserves what and everybody deserves. How is Flint doing these days? Anybody know? Did we get all that fixed? I'm just trying to find out. How is Flint? We're talking about what everybody is owed and what everybody deserves. How they doing? Do we even know? Do we even care? Because I'll tell you the last thing that I saw, and I'm trying to find the image here while I'm talking to you. But the last thing that I saw, it wasn't too good. The last thing that I saw, it looked something like this. Flint water prosecutors dropped criminal charges with plans to keep investigating. Wait a minute. This was in the newsletter. If you get the newsletter, you will know what I'm talking about. So hold on a second for me. They're going to keep investigating, but the people who poisoned the people, the citizens who live in Flint, they don't have that water that you talk about everybody deserves. And we've forgotten about it. Ain't nobody talking about that no more. American citizens have been poisoned. And we don't want to have that conversation. When we talk about what people deserve justice too. So how have we dropped the criminal charges? And how is this not a national story? How is this not a national story? Do you see what they've done? And if you go back through all of the stuff, if you go back and read it, this was an ongoing thing. This wasn't even just one administration. Everybody knew about this, and they dropped the charges. Somebody said, Michigan, here's still no clean water. Oh, no clean water, but you just told me. But Clyburn just told me ask at Whip Clyburn about the water, can you? Doesn't matter if it's not your district, because you're in leadership now. You don't just represent just your district. That's what happens when you get in leadership. What's going on with the water in Flint? So you talk about what is a right and who deserves what. What's going on with our water? What are we going to do anything about these criminal charges being dropped? Mass poisoning. Do you know what? If you get a chance after we're done here, if you get a chance, just go read about what lead does to the body. Just go read about that and go back and read some of the stories about what the children. We love to talk about what the children were dealing with. Just go back and read it for yourself. Everybody has certain deserves. I'm not talking about anything about what migrants don't deserve. I'm all for it. But you can't exclude me. Fine. You can't exclude me. See, that's what I want to have this conversation about. See, I'm about framing everything. So when I'm framing this conversation, the conversation that I want to have is this. I want to have a conversation about, and I want to kind of bring it down to we talk a lot on this show. We talk a lot on this show about very specific things. We talk about data point. And sometimes it's easy to get kind of caught up in the data and not really understand or reiterate to each other what that data means in terms of people and life, right? So it's easy to see that I had somebody, and I mentioned this when I was at the Angela Project. People don't, and I mentioned it before, but I never really go into it except sometime when I'm talking about somebody running away with the turkey on Thanksgiving. But I don't really go into it deep enough, I don't think, in terms of what the data means for Black life. And I'm talking about what the data means for your life. What does the data mean? The data isn't just a number. It suggests something in terms of group opportunity. It suggests something in terms of what the group is going to be able to do. It suggests something about mobility, upward mobility or downward fall. That's what the data suggests. So what I want to do is just, in terms of the data, we're going to go through something. We're going to go back to one article in particular. I don't want to go through everything. And I want to talk about what that suggests, because what we're going to see a lot of is an exaggeration of things that we've already seen. Right? So this article, we've used it a lot. We talked about it a lot, but I want to drill down on it so we understand what's at stake. And when the people say, no, I told you they wasn't, but Trump said it and the Democrats said it and it's just finished. Well, I need everybody to understand what finished means, because I don't think you do. Median wealth of Black Americans will fall to zero by 2053. Now, we're not an underdeveloped country, a quote unquote third world country. We're a first world country. So being wealthless, understand what that means. That means you are wealthless in a wealthy country. We have to talk about what that looks like. And we've already seen some of what that looks like. We have to go over that to make sure everybody understands that your life is coming. If we don't get what we talk about getting in terms of a Black agenda, reparation, I want you to understand what this looks like, because reparation is restore. That restores us. Without that restoration, I want you to really understand what that looks like. Now pay close attention to the chart. Now you see this little red looking line, red kind of orangey looking. That is Black people. Now you see how that's all the way at the bottom? Now that's at the bottom, closer near Latinos, but we've been here 400 years, right? Now I want you to look at the top line. That's white people. Now I want you to look at the distance between those lines. This is not just a chart. This chart has meaning for your individual life. and what you are going to see in your individual life and your familial life. 2 quotes from the article real quick. Just so we remember, we all read when affirmative action was white. But let's just make sure that we're clear. And understand when we talk about this chart, Wolf takes out depreciating goods. So let's just make sure that we're clear. The majority of white Americans weren't middle class until the 1930s or 40s, Asante Muhammad told The Guardian. Then there was mass investment to create an American middle class, but it was a white American middle class. We talked about this. White people did not build it themselves. The government built it for them, and now they are refusing to build it for us. Now let's go on to the next one. The middle class didn't just happen by market forces, and the whiteness of the middle class didn't just happen by market forces. Both were intentional, said Diedrich Asante Muhammad, a senior fellow at Prosperity Now, one of the report's authors. Now understand, I want you to understand what this means. This means something very, very, very specific. See, this chart is honest, because what people normally do to make it look like we have more money than we have, they add in old cars and clothes to make us have 10,000. We don't have 10,000, and that stuff ain't worth 10,000 no way. This takes out depreciating assets, which makes it an honest. We're talking about an honest piece of work right here. When you do it honestly, you see us dab knack at the bottom. That little orange dot is down at the bottom. Been here 400 years right there. That's look at that. Wealthless in a wealthy country. We haven't talked about or understood what that means. We haven't done it, and we have to do it. We have to understand what this means for us, our families, and everybody else. That means we're locked out. And people will say, well, Yvette, we can file lawsuits. We can always file lawsuits. Lawsuits require enforcement. And a wealthless group doesn't have money for enforcing the law, because a wealthless people cannot enforce laws, because you have to go pay an attorney. And we can't do that because we're wealthless. So understand, what you're saying is that the judicial system, since everything in America is now about money, you are locked out from justice. Not saying that we've always had it, but it's going to look very, very different coming soon. You're locked out from other things too. What happens when you become a bottom caste is that everybody tells you and everybody shows you that you don't matter. That being a bottom caste is a throwaway group. Right? That's why you see little things like even what happened in Detroit. A judge talks about access to literacy is not a constitutional right. Judge in Detroit rules. See, the government pulls away its responsibility to you, and that's not the first time this has happened. Remember, after Reconstruction, no responsibility to us, none. Left us to the mobs and the KKK and everybody, and they took back the land, and they had a promise to give it to us, and they gave it to the Confederates. Took it back. We're living like this circular sort of thing where we're going through this again. But that's what it looks like. When you're a bottom caste, no money, and the thing that people exchange is wealth, and you have none. A basic civil litigation lawsuit is $15,000 to litigate. Middle black family worth $1,700. That means you're not protected by law, because you don't have the money to enforce it. That's a problem. That's when I say what your life looks like, what my life looks like, because none of us get to escape. And unless you're one of those very top aberrations, Will Smith, all of them, you don't get to escape. This is what it looks like. This is the manifestation of not only no politics, but in some cases bad politics. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But I want everybody else to understand what that looks like in terms of people and human people. We've already seen some of it. Lack of progression. But everything that you've already seen, you're going to see it ratchet up in breakneck speed. All these GoFundMes where everybody's online trying to get money for basic stuff that should be met by government, ratchets up. I saw something today that said when I was researching, I didn't know if it was true, so I didn't want to put it up. But it was a law student who said that I'm too, somewhere, I forget where she was. She said she graduated law school, but she put up a post that I'm too poor to live. And she was asking for money, and she said, I'm too poor to live. Tell my mama I love her. That's what bottom caste looks like. I don't think we understand. There is no bump where we stop and we stop falling. Everybody's not even trying to talk about us. Like, understand, we have kept up the pressure. We have kept up the pressure. But that's us. Everybody else keeps trying to change the subject. But this is what it looks like. It looks like, have y'all seen that viral video that's going around where Michael Jordan's talking about, well, Charles Barkley is actually talking about on the Oprah Winfrey Show about Michael Jordan. He's walking with Michael Jordan, and a homeless man comes up and asks for money or whatever, and Charles Barkley tries to give him some money, and Michael Jordan hits his hand away and says if he can ask for money, he can say, McDonald's, how can I help you? There's another one where Jordan was with Wayne Gretzky somewhere. There's this story, and he tried to tip the waitress at Las Vegas. They were at Las Vegas because, Michael Jordan had a gambling thing. And they're in Las Vegas, and he tips the waitress $5. And Gretzky takes his chip and takes Michael Jordan's chip and exchanges his $5 chip with a $100 chip and says, this is how we tip in Vegas. But you're going to be in that place again where Michael Jordan will look at you homeless and laugh at you. And he can do it because that's the way it is now. Everybody knows you're a bottom caste. Don't nobody care. We already see that kind of viciousness. And you got to think, we look back at that video now, but you got to think Oprah laughed too. And after that, Oprah said, well, I normally give the money because I don't want them to stalk me, but I think that too sometime. I think that too. Like, why don't they get a job? The billionaires and the multimillionaires are not coming for you. They don't care. That's how they got to be millionaires and billionaires. By not caring about what happens to you. By hitting somebody's hand, saying, let him get it how he live. I don't care. I'm going to do what I do and live how I live. Yeah, I got $1 billion, but I'm not going to give you a dime. So if that is somehow your hope, if that is somehow your hope that the millionaires, the black millionaires and billionaires will save you, you're suffering from something else. Now, I don't necessarily know what that something is, and I wish you all the best, but you're going to have to get it fixed. Because one of the things that you're going to see too, you're going to begin to see what it looks like when government retreats from your community altogether. Like, I talk about government and everybody says, no, we don't need it. Okay, you're going to start to see what that looks like. You're going to start to see this, little children in the streets fixing their own potholes. That's what government's supposed to do. And everybody says, oh, isn't that so wonderful? He's fixing his own potholes. Why does he have to? Born in this country, he's an American citizen. Why does he have to get outside as a little boy and fix his potholes? This is not a feel-good story. Stop sharing this with me. He's supposed to be somewhere playing kickball. And he's out there having to fill potholes because the government has failed him. Because America is failing him. America is a place where black children can't be children. They got to go outside and fill potholes. And you shed it around. Isn't he just being industrious? Isn't he? Isn't he just being industrious? A child shouldn't have to do a man's work. A child shouldn't have to do a country's work. But you're going to start seeing that. You remember, I don't know if everybody remembers. I don't think everybody remembers, like, back when child labor was a thing. I'm talking about well after slavery. We know children would little slave children would labor. But after that, like before the labor rights and everything, the labor rights movement, child labor was a thing. It wasn't outlawed. How do you know we're not going back to that place? At least for us. Because there's a space for us to fill that space for failure. Right? So just let the Negroes fill the little potholes and whatever. Somebody said the Gilded Age. Exactly. What happens when government stops showing up for us? Because we're a wealthless group. See, when you're a wealthless group, you can't pay the taxes too that are necessary. So you have to pay a certain level of taxes to get a certain level of government too. So when they've made us wealthless. It's not like we're wealthless because something we did. They made us wealthless. So what happens when government stops showing up for us in a real way? Not only is the potholes, what happens? You all remember the song 911 is a joke in your town. Well, not only just low response times, what happens when you call 911 and nobody shows up? Do you know how to fix a gunshot wound? Do you know how to stitch up a stabbing? How fast can you get to your local hospital? Everybody who tells me you don't need government, let's figure out what happens when government stops showing up. Because we're a wealthless group. If you live in a black community, I'm sure you already see that there are not very many patrols. I see that. Ain't nobody really patrolling. You just out in the street trying to give me a ticket. But you ain't coming through here seeing if somebody's in the back door, in the backyard, peeping through my window. You ain't here for that. This is what being wealthless looks like. It's very, 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 very ugly. People start doing extraordinary things. How many of y'all remember this fellow? Was walking however many miles to work. You start seeing, when you have a wealthless group, you start seeing regular people do extraordinary things just to survive. Just to survive. And I think what some other stuff happened with him. Somebody did a GoFundMe or something for him too, or something like that. And he was living at a rooming house with a woman, and the woman said he ran off and he been living with her. It was all kind of madness. Because this is the kind of dysfunction that you have. Never had no money. What are you going to do when he gets some money in a car? You create this dysfunction though. Nothing's wrong with us that the end of white supremacy won't fix. In white supremacy, you see us be a diff. But you see him having to do think about it. Like those of you who are joggers out there, how long is your normal run? Like a regular run for me just might be like anywhere from 4 to 6 miles. He's going 21 miles to work. And it's not just him. This is not an American life. Young man walked miles for first day of work, gets car from CEO. And then you're going to see this too. You're going to see this too. You're going to see not only doing extraordinary things just to get food at a car wash. Because he worked for a moving company. You're going to see like these, you're going to see that people start doing this little charity. Oh my God, but we gave him a car. That's so wonderful. See, that's what happens in America. We show up for each other. That's what we do. I don't know who says we don't show up. We always show up for each other. Go back and read about the Great Depression. The reason Roosevelt had to act is because the soup kitchen lines, eventually they run out of soup. There are some things only government is big enough to do, and that's provide opportunity. So for every one person you see get some random act of kindness, there's at least 1,000 who either had to quit their job, got fired from their job, got frustrated, committed suicide, whatever the case may be. But we only discuss the act of charity, just like we only discuss the person who got out of their situation. We don't discuss everybody else. We discuss somebody who gave a wonderful speech or something about, they were homeless and they became valedictorian. The question is, why were you homeless? In the richest country in the world, the biggest issue is not, oh, how wonderful it is that this child came out of poverty and was able to do that and excel. No, the question is, why was this very smart child, who was an American child in this country, why was this child in that situation? Take a moment every now and again, look at your local news. The biggest horror stories are on your local news. Except your local news is so conservative, usually they try to turn those horror stories into wonderful feel-good stories. Not it's a horrible story. This is horrible. And people don't understand it. Well, Vic, what are you talking about? I don't know why you're just so negative. No, this is negative. Walking 20 miles to work, having to rely on the goodness of strangers. And what else they're going to do is this. If you want to talk about what else, let's talk about what life looks like. Let's be honest. Let's be honest and shame the devil. Part of the problem with injustice in terms of police has been that it has a cost. It always has a cost, right? So somebody sues the police department and get a bunch of money about because the police behaved badly, they shot someone, killed someone, or abused somebody. I can go and get justice that way. But they're changing that too for bottom caste. So you see, let's talk about South Bend, but a judge. Let's talk about it. You know, a South Bend family awarded $18 for civil rights abuses by police. And I think I talked to a member of this family a while back. But you come into somebody's house, beat up an innocent young man, and you only get 18. The family only gets $18. What they're telling you is you can't come here no more. You're not gonna break and destroy the bank anymore for this little injustice because you don't count no more. So we're not giving you money no more for like your lives and what went wrong, what we did wrong, well, whatever happened. Whatever happened. Ain't nothing we can do about it. Ain't nothing it's over. And we don't even care. Even if the person didn't do nothing wrong, we really don't care. Take this $18 to get out of my courtroom. That's not justice. That's not justice. And let me tell you something. When that happens, the lawyers stop showing up because the lawyers are there. They know you don't got no money, but they're there because they're going to get they 30% of whatever their fee is. They not going to show up no more to talk to you and let's take this to court no more if you ain't getting no money. That means you ain't getting no justice. Right? So the little aberrations, the little group we talk about, they live, the blacks, the ADOS, they live in decent neighborhoods. And the rest of us are in black neighborhoods. And this is set up for a bad situation. You might have Will Smith or Oprah somewhere. But the rest of us, we with each other. It's going to be chaos. Robberies and all kinds of stuff. And nobody's coming. This is reparations is not some kind of highfalutin, let's do Pan-African. No, this is about real life. Are you going to survive first and then thrive or not? Or are you going to see what we have to talk about? I always talk about it, Antonio and I talk about leaving us with the slavery because you should have restored us. Instead, what happens, you leave us with the slavery and everything that came with it. And this is what comes with it. This is chattel slavery. This is not indentured servitude. This is not even like a slavery when you all don't look different from everybody else. This is something different. You have to, when you have a slave group in your group, you have to make that group whole. You have to do a lot too. You have to pour money and pour resources into that racial wealth gap. You have to do lineage steps. You have to do a lot to make us whole. If you just leave us out here, everything implodes. Everything implodes. And I said, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Because Obama, like I said before, set the groundwork for this. He set the groundwork for this. And we didn't see it. Some people are like, well, Yvette, Yvette's a Johnny come lately. She's just trying to start a hashtag. No, I said this. This is what I said in 2011. It's 2019. I said, when 2016 rolls around, African Americans attempt to exact a bargain with the new guy or gal in the White House, the swift response will be, you had your guy in for 8 years and you didn't ask him for anything, so don't ask me for anything. Politically, we're finished, disrespected, mocked globally, not just at home, and we deserve it. We have been politically immature in terms of how we do politics. So you see everything that we just talked about. And we've had this for a long time. Everything is just going to speed up. You're not going to, people, we've always said people can't pay for funerals. Now everybody can't pay for it. And there's no relative now. We all live around our poor. See, white people are separated from their poor. Their poor live over there, they live over here. We live with our poor. So even if you're making 45 or 50 or whatever, you still live around black people. Who you think they going? Whose car gonna get broke into? Yeah, it's white supremacy's fault, but they live over there. You live over here, and he hungry. Where you think he gonna go to get food? We end up turning in on ourselves. But hey, they told you, but I just over. And you see it on your news. Student can't afford school dues to go to prom. Says school won't help. What kind of school? Most places located near the school are low-income apartments. So they know where most of the kids come from, yet they still charge these prices, Andrew said. What kind of prices could she not afford? In total, $300, graduation cap and gown, reception, senior activities, yearbook, t-shirt, blah, 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 blah. Understand something. This young lady lives with her disabled mother, and people came through to give her $300 or whatever. That's not, it's a bunch of her. The charity don't matter. It's a bunch of her. Understand though, when you can't afford $300 in America, when America does that to you, puts you in a position, whatever your mother gets ain't enough. They have put you in a position not to be American. You are a bottom caste. They have put you in a position to live a third world life in a first world country. Wealthless in a wealthy country is disastrous. That's worse to me than being poor in a third world country, because everybody poor with you. Y'all underdeveloped country, everybody poor. You here with a bunch of rich people. Slavery, what slavery did, and the accrued disadvantage, it concentrated all the failure in one group. So what America has to do is come and take that failure out of this one group. That's the responsibility of America. That we can't do that. Heck, what we just said is that white people didn't even do that for themselves. And they weren't the failure group, but they weren't middle class. They didn't get to be middle class. But we have all the failures like an albatross around your neck until somebody gives you what's necessary, the key to get that off. The key is in America's hands. So it's irksome when I see people online who are like, well, you know, we just not going. I told you. Don't y'all see this? Don't y'all see? I saw some tweet online. Don't y'all see? They talking about gay rape. So I guess y'all know that's the end. What do you mean, y'all? You're nobody. Do you think somehow you're better than us? You think somehow it's not going to happen to you? By what logic? We're all in this. If you're not one of these aberrations, like you or one of these boomers who now you got your a tight Social Security check and you got your money doing affirmative action, it's what are you talking about? See what y'all don't y'all? What you mean y'all? And these same people want us to go and participate in there. They got all these kind of new projects coming. Why should we support anything you do? If you've already told us you don't view yourself as one of us. So why should we support somebody like that? I just take note of people who talk like that. Well, see, they done told y'all. Who you think you are? What do you think separates you apart? Certainly not your intellect. You know, there was a New York Times article where it was a kid who was walking with something in a bag, and A grown person threatened them with a black kid. A grown person, black person threatened them with a rock. Like, what you got in that bag? I'll bust your head. Understand. This is the madness of living, like not being made whole and having to hold all the failure. What, you finna fight? You finna hit a kid with a big rock? I don't think we understand what it means to be locked out and wealthless. I don't think we understand it, and that's why I'm bringing this home, because I don't want this just to be about data, because sometimes people don't understand that data is great, but it's not just about numbers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something bigger than that. And we need to understand that. We need to understand when you talk about Skid Row, when you talk about homelessness. How many of us are like, because you're talking about mechanization too, and you're talking about us working for Uber and working as part of a servant class too. So what do we do when Uber just deactivates us? And I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying anything bad about anybody who works for Uber or Lyft, because any of us could be there tomorrow, me included. Any of us. Don't you get somewhere and you feel like because some of you love to just floss in your little profile pics with all these stuff on, work my nerves. Oh no, that would never be me. Why? Life surprises you, and don't tempt fate. Any of us, that's what happens when you're part of a bottom group. Then they deactivate you. How long between that and homelessness? Because what else happens is when this dissolves family. Familiar relationships, it dissolves them, makes them into nothing. Because family requires a level of stability. Well, you say, well, Yvette, we were family during slavery. Well, no, because we could still be separated and sold off. So I don't know how much family you can do when they can sell your baby, your mama, your uncle, your daddy. But even if you were not sold, you were property of the slave owner. And they didn't want to, like, just like they didn't want to kill their cow. They want their cow to be all right. Or they want their pig to be all right, or whatever. There was a certain level of protection because you were property. No, that's different than being a throwaway group. It's not the same. And even then they could sell you, but this is a different kind of thing. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. Y'all better, somebody in the chat, y'all better stop tempting. No. Y'all better stop tempting fate. A throwaway group is something else. And a lot of us are already, like a lot of people are already watching like the dissolution of family, where like, you know, you might have a mama, but she'd be like, well, I was going to go somewhere, or daddy, whatever, give me $60 if you want me to watch the kid or whatever. No, you the babysitter then. I can pay the babysitter. That's not a normal kind of relationship. Well, if I'm going to come over there and change your tire, your daddy, I need $100 because wait a minute, you ain't daddy then. You the AAA man. We've already kind of seen like regular familiar relationships turn into these transactional relationships because people don't have enough. You're already seeing the dissolution of family. You just don't know what you're looking at. It's already happening. What happens to black mothers? What happens to black motherhood? Why America's black mothers and babies are in life or death crisis? How does that happen? If you read into the article, it says like the you know, infant mortality and mothers and during childbirth. These are third world levels. That's because that's what we've been made into. How do you have family when your wife or girlfriend can't even have a healthy child to know that she's going to come through the other side of that pregnancy? What kind of life are you talking about to me? I really don't understand what people's expectations are and what they've done, even in terms of, see, this is part of the problem. When you talk about the problem, you have to look at past mistakes and see how you have to change that. So this is an editor for, I think it was Esquire or something, whatever, I don't know. But what you see with everybody else is, instead of, and this is how you know we don't have like real allies or real solidarity, instead of trying to help us undergird our reparations claim, everybody has just kind of piled on and said, me too. Me too. That doesn't help us. Like everybody, we see. Well, I can't believe they're talking about gay reparations before talk of Native American reparations or reparations for women. Who? What women? Why? What are you talking about? Because black women are included in ADOS reparations. So I know you aren't talking about the women who were married to white men. I know you're not talking about them. Okay. Well, you also have the case for gay reparations. What? So we're talking about giving, so gay white men are going to get reparations before ADOS, who built the country. Okay. Before that, we had Elizabeth Warren talking about Native American reparations. We've had, ever since we started talking, and I'm not really trying to pass judgment on too much. I'm just trying to say, when people try to use you and piggyback off what you're doing as opposed to help you do what you're doing, that person is not an ally. If you're trying to just piggyback on what I'm doing and talking about and say, oh, that's a good idea, let me see if I can use it for me, instead of trying to help me, you're not an ally. And part of what we have done, and I've said this before, but I need to say it again, in our politics, is we have aligned ourselves in some type of solidarity where there's not an exchange. And that's really bad politics. That is really, really, really bad politics. And I think at some point, we come from an era where I talked about slavery, but even after slavery, there were places where our labor was necessary, right? And so you have immigration now, you have less of the labor. Then you have mechanization. You have a lot of stuff going on. So I don't even think we understand as a group how much life has changed and is changing for us. And the consequence of that kind of swift change. Life is changing up under our feet. And you have to be concise in understanding what is in your interest, what is not in your interest. Because even in terms of solidarity, I remember when this happened, I thought, oh, that's good. They're all getting together, and we're getting together, and everybody, minorities are going to stand with each other. The Howard University is going to write an amicus, LGBT, all the groups stand together. And now Howard don't got no money, and I ain't seen none of these people. They wrote the amicus. I ain't seen anybody else come forward, and Howard, we appreciate, Howard making this the new black and all that stuff. I haven't seen it. Like, what are the terms of solidarity? I said it before, but I repeat it. What are the terms of solidarity? There have to be terms. You can't just say solidarity. It doesn't make any sense when you do it that way. You talk about insulin. They talk about insulin prices so high. People are going on the black market. Well, what happened? Black people have what? A lot. High blood pressure, diabetes. You have to, if there's one thing that you can do, and I know I said I was going to end, so I'm going to go to the phones in just 1 second. But if there's one thing that you can do, you have to start thinking about what the data looks like in your life. I'm not saying you have to focus on it all the time or get yourself depressed or not. I'm saying that you got to understand, like, this is where this could go, and this is why it's so important. It's not important for no reason. It's important because if this happens, if this benign neglect, and it's not just benign neglect, it's also active and inventive and reinventive oppression. If this keeps happening to ADOS, it's going to be wicked. That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it because reparations will be extra. That's not what we're doing. We're doing it because we needed to first survive and then thrive. It is absolutely essential. And so I'm going to go to the phones. So give me a minute, as usual, to set up the calls, and then we'll go to the phones, and I want to hear what everybody has to say. fam, I forgot to say, somebody hit me up on Twitter a few days ago and they were trying to get, I think they were from North Carolina and were trying to connect people or trying to see if people in South Carolina wanted to do something and have an ADOS meetup or whatever and organize in that way. So if you are in South Carolina, please talk amongst yourselves in the chat. I will actually, I'm gonna try to, my memory sometimes, I'll send out a Twitter so people can talk under the people from I'm pretty sure it was South Carolina can have a conversation about who is there and what they want to do about that. And Antonio and I will do debate recap Friday on his show, if I'm not sleeping. Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm playing. I kid. Anyway, I'm going to the phones, fam. So let me get to that. Let me make sure I got this turned up a little bit. Give me un momento. I am going to 765. 765, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's going on, Yvette? This is Jermaine calling from the barbershop here in Dallas.
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to leave something to the ADOS family today. Especially with the conversation that you're having about black wealth and where it's going. ADOS family, y'all have to be wary about the people who have about black people who have wealth, who denigrate other black people for the lack of wealth. You have to be wary about them because they don't always be honest about where their money is coming from. For example, the barber in the shop that I was telling you about, where he was talking about how he doesn't know any poor black folks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Found out where he gets his money from.
Where?
His mother was killed by the Dallas police, and him and his brother both got $500,000 apiece for her death at the hands of the Dallas Police Department.
So wait a minute, hold on a second. The person who was telling you they didn't know no poor black people and black people weren't poor, his mother was killed by the police?
His mother was killed by the Dallas police.
So he got money because his mother was murdered, and he's trying to make you feel bad for not having money? Or black people feel bad for not having money?
Exactly.
That's actually kind of sick. That's actually kind of sick. Because you would think you would be a fighter for justice after your mother lost her life at the hands of the police, but instead you use that money as to bludgeon a cudgel against other black people. That's kind of sick, actually.
Yeah. That's why I want to tell black people, be wary about the people who talk about black folks in your neighborhood and about how black people aren't trying hard enough. Because oftentimes, either those people, well, I wouldn't say that their situation is the same as the barbers, but oftentimes those people are coming from, they're attached to boomers, or they're coming from money that was passed down to them. I actually had this discussion with someone in the barbershop today, and the guy was, dumping on black folks, and especially ADOS, about how black people aren't trying hard enough. And I mean, I'm hitting them with statistics and data, and he's like, black people aren't trying hard enough. Well, he started to let me know a lot about where he came from. His grandfather, his great-grandfather, was worth $1.5 million when he died, and that money was passed down from him to his grandfather, down to his father, and then eventually to him. And this particular individual also was able to go through college. He went to college on an athletic scholarship for football, and then also went on to play for the NFL for a little bit. So now he used that wealth to open up a business where he owns 5 delivery trucks for his company, and he uses that and says that any black person can do that. And I'm like, and I was letting them know, like, you are what did you use? What is the word?
Aberration. But you're not, like, he's even worse than an aberration. He's not just boomer hooked. He's like granddaddy hooked. Like, what you have to have. See, what we always talk about is what you have to have is inheritance. What you have to have is generational wealth. Like, what's your granddaddy being an aberration basically made you white. So, like, you don't get to talk about what black people need to do when you're white. Like, that made you something other than black. I don't know what you're talking about. And then what you're basically saying, though, is that people are lying. People are just lying straight face to you.
Yes. Yeah, they're lying to you about where they get their money from, and then they use their situation and try to paint that picture for all black people as a reason. Well, I get it, so why can't you? So I wanted to leave that message to everybody.
Thank you, I appreciate it, fam, because you didn't do it. Like, your granddaddy did it. You ain't do nothing. Your granddaddy did it. That you didn't do it. Stop saying you did it. They just like Republicans in that sense. But thank you, fam. I appreciate you because I remember that call. So I appreciate you calling back and letting us know that. Like people are just lying. Like people are just straight face lying. Well, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with you. I do this and I live here. I know people like that too. And I know the personal circumstances of their lives. And they go around and they pump this narrative of, well, see, you should just be like me. I live here and I do this and I go there and I do this. And I know where that money comes from. I know where your life comes from. I know it's anchored in money that is not your money. I know it's anchored in you were that boomer hook and you got the $20,000 for your down payment. Or you inherited a house or whatever, and then you walk around with your nose in the air. And see what our barber friend did that was so important was that he asked the questions. Like when you start digging around in people's lives, first of all, they get very uncomfortable. But what you find too is that, like, yeah, you're lying. You didn't create nothing. You didn't create nothing. So I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 708. 708. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is John from Chicago. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you? How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you. I want to thank you for this show. It's one of the most consequential shows that all that you do is so important to the community. But this show is so important because what happens is when you get visualization of the data that you presented tonight, it completely changes everything because we see the place that APOS is headed if we don't do reparations, fight for reparations immediately, right now. This is the most important and consequential thing for the APOS specific Black American descendants of slavery in this country. A lot of people, even the aberration, I don't know what makes them think that they're safe if we're not. If we think back to Black Wall Street, a lot of those people were doing great. And white folks looked, they got jealous, saw what was happening, and came and just destroyed and took everything. So I don't know what a person who is surrounding themselves in a white community that's mostly just tolerating them because they have money, that they feel like they could be safe. Because like you said, the law does not protect.
Well, it's something different with social engineering too. White people have been, first of all, they needed you to keep us in place. If we get too poor, we're not going to be kept in place. There are no lines that can hold us. So I don't know how necessary those people will be. But the other part about it is, at the same time that we're being made to hold all the failure, like white America has rocket boosters in terms of the windfall that a lot of people have been getting in terms of the tax cuts and all that. So they're pulling away at the same time we're falling deeper. Understand that even that pulls at the fabric of what we talk about. So people are like, no, I got this person. No, you don't. You think you do. You think you do. You think they're going to pull away too because you're a bottom caste. I don't really want to. No, Tanya, we're not going to brunch. Maybe later. You're going to have some of that because what you have, this kind of income inequality in terms of racial like in terms of the racial wealth gap, it cleaves. It like breaks stuff. That's where we are. But go ahead and finish your thought, Carl.
Yes, we are absolutely a broken group. But because of what you and Antonio Moore are spearheading here, we are not beyond repair. You know, you guys have given me so much hope. You know, so everywhere I go, I sing the praises of Breaking Brand.
Appreciate it.
Tone Talk family, the ADOS family.
Appreciate
and
it.
I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1962. And because of you guys, you have made me understand that I was, you know, I missed the sweet spot by so many years, because I know the sweet spot for boomers is between 67, 74. Those are the ones that have 75% of the 2.6% of the wealth that we have in this country. Me being born in 1962 made me 20 at 82. What happened in 1980? Ronald Reagan, everything that, I mean, I was perfectly timed for crack, mass incarceration, every single thing that happened. And I got lucky, and I went to truck driving school, and I've had a job, and I've been able to support and take care of and raise my children. But my daughter is an insurance salesman. And I try to get her to tune in to shows like and tone the things that you're talking about. And I'm going to shut this down because I know you have a lot of calls. But I'm trying to get her to understand that, baby, life insurance is one of the first things that people put aside because they're trying to pay a light bill, a phone bill. They're trying to pay rent. They have to eat. And when it comes down to what's going to get paid with a wealthiest group of people, life insurance kind of falls out of waste. You know, I mean, and it's not because people you never know that you need it until you actually need it. But you can see the effects of like gas, phone, food, just our daily survival, gas for your car. And so I love what you guys are doing, and I got my tickets for the inaugural.
Oh, great,
being in October early, so I'll be there, and I can't wait. But I preach this everywhere I go, and I like all of the videos, and I tell all my friends about it. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, fam. I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to my next caller. I am going to 909. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, it's me?
Yes.
Oh. Hi, Yvette. This is Anthony from San Bernardino. Thank you for taking my call again. You're real good with talking to the people, and I appreciate your patience in this time of this crazy calamity over what is this? They had a conference. I think they were talking with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Danny Glover and
what the HR 40 hearing.
Hello?
I said the HR 40 hearing. That's what you're talking about.
Right. And I was wondering, what was your thoughts on that? Because I didn't really hear your thoughts on that. To me, it just seems like we're a real disheveled group when we can have the guy from Lethal Weapon trying to talk, and they don't have Sandy Doherty, or they don't have you or Tone. They don't have anybody that's actually understands how you have written on the background beyond data.
Well, yeah, I kind of live tweeted it, but yeah, I mean it was unserious, but I think that was kind of the intent of it. I think the intent of it was to basically give Democrats a pass and say we're dealing with it, as opposed to like really doing anything about it, really doing anything with it. But you know, and I think, you know, it has to be rewritten. We have to start over. It's a lot of stuff that has to happen, but you know, it is what it is. We don't have any choice in what we have to do.
So we don't really have too much of a choice, and we have to, like you say, eat this failure. and we're the only ones living with the cost of slavery, and everybody else has benefited from slavery except for ADOS, and we have to sit here and, I guess, live under this impoverished line where we can't have relationships, we can't have time to go out and focus on other things because we don't have any businesses or any kind of way to actually show people like, hey, we are a people that actually contributed to this country, that are alive, that are not just alive, but are actually doing something productive for the world all over. Instead of that, we're just here. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's making it come out in words or something like that. It's hard to say because I don't really have a forum to speak this. I can't go to the job and talk about reparations or anything like that because they'll be like, oh well, here he comes. So I just want to know, what is it that we do in this lower state that we're in right now? Something that keep our heads on straight to where we're all focused in and know exactly what we're talking about, and we don't just get on this, emotional parade.
Well, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. I'm gonna answer your question offline. I mean, after you, I'm gonna go to another call in a second, but I'm gonna answer your question like this. Like, I think we can continue to do what we've been doing. My only concern, my main concern is burnout, because we have a tendency to get all fired up. We're gonna do it. And if it don't happen, we get frustrated and annoyed because we're expecting like a sort of immediacy. Heck, a lot of us, I know some of us knew, I know that. But a lot of people just learned a lot of stuff in the books that we just read that they didn't know. Like, I understand the progression. I don't think everybody understands it. Like, why I was so frustrated in that message I put up a little while ago, the reason I was so frustrated when I said we deserve it and so pissed off because everybody was killing me during that period. Like, just like you just a self-hating person, whatever. We've come so far from that. Like, we progressed so far from the time where, like, I was getting, like, so much hate mail every day. The nastiest kind of hate mail you could imagine. I still get a little bit of stuff, but it's not nearly at the level that it was then. That was insane. That was a craze that we were caught in. Like, we're not there anymore. Even people who liked Obama are not there anymore. They still got their own problems, but they're not there anymore. That is still progression. You have to keep your head on straight. You have to understand that this doesn't happen overnight. You have to understand that we have to have terms in terms of how we deal with solidarity. You have to understand that we have to be self-interested as a collective, and you have to keep pushing. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have time to rest and do your own thing for a while or whatever. Enjoy your life. Don't get burnt out. Go take a walk, chill out, but read the stuff you need to read. Understand what you need to understand, and understand how you are going to advocate in this sphere of politics. And don't get burnt out. Like, that's my main concern. As long as we don't do that, we gonna keep pushing. I am going now to 310. 310, what's up?
Well, Yvette, I got a couple things I want to hit real quick. First thing, I just want to start off. Let's go back to that New York Times article. And that the New York Times article that she was talking about earlier about the kid with the rock. What it really was about was a story of the complications of being a mid-level earner or a high-wage earner as a black person and moving into a black community. Because this was the son of two professionals, but because they don't come from wealth, they were living amongst black poverty. And you had this whole narrative of a little boy that was sent to Walmart. He had a bag. As you know, Walmart bags aren't cleared. And his grown neighbor comes out and threatens to hit him with a rock and bust his head open if he doesn't give him the bag. Now, somebody might say that's extreme. But to that person, I say that is demarcation. That is the flashpoint. That is a window into the possibility of the chaos that they have set up in our communities. And I think that chaos can really descriptively tell you a narrative on black family as well, just generally speaking. Now, is your grandmama or your mama or your brother going to hit you with a rock? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I'm seeing young women. I'm seeing young girls. When I say young, I'm talking about 30, 28, playing baby mama for their brother's kid. I'm talking about more than once have I seen this, where young women are 28 and 30 years old, and their brother that has been broken by America had 1 or 2 children. And now she's the auntie far too early. And she, as the auntie, steps in and offers to take care of that child that is not her daughter. And the next thing you know, the brother is treating her like a second son. You gonna pay me to take my own kid to school? This is how it dissolves. What happens is you become government for your family. I don't think y'all hear me right now. What happens is you become government for your family. Some of y'all feel me really too much right now. Because right now, you doing way too much governmental stuff from potholes and beyond right now. And I think that we got to start getting honest about what's coming, what's here, why we need reparations, what reparations means. Because what reparations really is a reformation. It is a restructuring where ADOS people are positioned the way they should be positioned when your family built this place. It is an ownership that we have not ever had in this country. It is an ownership where you say, not that I'm better than you, but that I own this place because my people built this place. See, it's built into everybody else's name. If you're Nigerian and I go to Nigeria, for that matter, Igbo, and I go to the Igbo area of Nigeria, you own that place. But somehow they made us not own anywhere. So we are ownerless people that want to be elite. How that work, Yvette? Can we pull up that first chart? Because I want to revisit it. Actually, pull up Brianna's tweet first, please. Because I wanted to talk about Brianna Lovejoy. She works for Bernie, and I think that in a lot of ways I needed to touch this. I was going to talk about it on my show Friday, but because I'm going to do a recap, I'm not going to have a time to get to this. Brianna Lovejoy works for or Joy Gray, whatever. She works for Bernie Sanders now. She started off doing an article that was kind of off base, but she works for Bernie now. She puts this tweet up after Bernie drops the whole thing about wealth and how he's gonna do the college forgiveness. Y'all know my opinion on it. It's a white wealth transfer. I believe that roughly it's 2.2 trillion. White folks might see 2 trillion up to 2.2 trillion. But one of the things that you see is that people that don't understand data and don't understand lineage are talking about data and talking about lineage. The murkiness of blackness in America does not allow us to see the cost of ADOS. So let's read the tweet. If we had canceled all the student debt in 2016, we would have shrunk the racial wealth gap between young white and black households ages 25 to 40 from 12 to 1 to 5 to 1. Sound really good, right, man?
Sound great.
Sound really good. So we're going to fix slavery by canceling student debt. We're going to fix slavery by canceling student debt. The problem is that none of this holds up to, like, data, and then I'm going to break it down and explain to you. This actually leads to a widening gap between black immigrants and ADOS people. Can you pull up the other chart? We saw this last show. I just want to hammer it home because she don't know this chart. You can't know this chart and make that point. She don't even understand the breakdown between ADOS and black immigrants to understand how important it is because that's who needs to be fixed. That's who's owed the debt. So when you look at this chart, if you pull it up, what you see is that Bernie's college debt plan actually would end up going, the blue line is actually black immigrants, the green line is us. The problem with the green line even telling you this is native black. And native blacks would include second generation immigrants. So if you take them out, we might have 13% of our population with a back screen. So fundamentally, Bernie would give a giant economic boost to black immigrants and leave us as ADOS kids with the cost. It would expand the gap between us and black immigrants. It would also expand the gap between us and white. But don't nobody want to talk about it. See, don't nobody want to talk about the other side. See, the other side that Yvette ain't even telling you because she don't want to make it too scary for you is that white folks just got $1 million gift from Barack Obama. See, Barack Obama, through quantitative easing, took us from 4.5 million white millionaires in 2012 to almost 11 million in 2015 through stock boosting. They call them retirement millionaires. Old white people that never expected to have that much money in their retirement account. That are now giving it to their children. And then you think that you're going to come in there with labor dollars and compete with from work and compete against them. So I'm telling you right now, there's a lot going on. She's telling you the first part, which is essentially you don't have enough to be here. But the other part is that they're making it more expensive to be here at the same time. And then the last part is that they're going to bring in another group of people who make it look like you don't really have a problem, or you're not working hard enough, or it's your fault. You see it all, Yvette? We got to put the pieces together for them. I just wanted to touch you real quick. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, fam, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. See if we get as many calls as we can in here this evening. I am going now to 313-313. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
So, how you doing, Ms. Yvette? This is Rashawn calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And I really must say, the entire topic of your show, I'm living through that right now. I'm a 36-year-old father. I wasn't raised by my father. My father was nowhere in the picture. I don't know nothing about the dude, so I try to, break the cycle of that. I'm also a vet. Now, when I was in the service, unfortunately, somebody stole my ID, my identity rather, and ran my credit up through the roof. And it took probably 5 years for the police to catch up with the guy. They said some statute of limitations had been passed. So I was stuck with the debt. I can't afford a lawyer to try to get this stuff off of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. I'm living every 2 paychecks to paycheck. It takes 2 paychecks to cover my rent. My other 2 paychecks through the month goes towards food and bills. You know what I'm saying? I can't access the VA housing loan because some white dude used my credit. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm just stuck in the rut on this. You know,
so there's nothing you can do about your credit. There's nothing. What did you tell? What did you go when you went there and you said this guy you used my stuff? What'd they say?
That all of the disputes that I put in for that have been denied. Like, I've been fighting this stuff for about 6 years now, and all of the disputes have been denied. America is pretty much, America is killing us. How am I supposed to show my son, that you work hard and you can progress in life? If he see me coming in dog tired from a 12-hour shift or a 10-hour shift or an 8-hour shift, 5 to 6, and he don't see any real tangibles from it. So yes, I know that reparations is more than necessary. They're killing us. I mean, not physically they're killing us, but I mean spiritually, emotionally, mentally, they're killing us out here.
Yeah.
I live in Detroit. The house next to me is abandoned. The house across from me is abandoned. The whole block to the right of my house is abandoned. You know what I'm saying? The only portions of this neighborhood this city that look good are there's a portion of the city that has the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses, or this portion of the city that's being gentrified. The schooling, I looked at that post you put up earlier. Detroit judge says that basically schooling is not a right.
Yep.
What type of crap is that?
You exactly right.
What is the only thing that a lot of us in this city have left? And this isn't an avenue that I would expect anybody to go down, but are the property crimes. And a lot of the people that I do know that did that stuff, they took it across 8 Mile. They went right to the suburban area. And I don't suggest anybody do that. But they're not giving us no option.
That's why I said it's gonna be chaos. That's what I say. Like, you already living it. I remember watching another guy. I think it was Detroit, and he was going around. He went around and collected like wood during the day so that he could have firewood, so his kids could like be warm in the night. Like, I don't think people understand what real life and what real life looks like and what you're talking about. Like, what is really happening.
At this point, I have to go sell my car. Because today I was informed that, okay, you can either do one of 2 things. This is coming from our job. We can either lower your wages, and mind you, I'm only making $11.50 an hour. So they wanted to take me down, take $1 an hour away from me, or let me go. And I contested to it, so they fired me. So tomorrow, I got to go sell my car to make sure that at the beginning of the month, my rent is paid. You know? They put you in one of those, excuse my language, but if you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And they wonder why people are out here knocking people over the head and taking everything they got. You know?
They put us, I know, a desperate situation, just desperation. And we don't understand enough to understand, like, we be like, well, that's always been our life. We don't understand that, like, that's not American life. That's not American life.
It's not. It's not. Like, at one point, around, like, 6 years ago, around the time I first got out of the service, and my old lady got pregnant, I was working 3 jobs. I was going to at least 2 of them a day, 7 days a week. You know, and one of the jobs I was working at is a fine-dining restaurant, and I've literally seen people come in and spend $8,000 on a little bit of nothing for food. That's like ridiculous. You know, and $8,000, that's like what I make in half a year. You know, so you spending 6 months worth of my salary on a 9-ounce steak and a salad that's a half a head of lettuce. I mean, a quarter of a head of lettuce cut into a wedge with some confetti dropped over it. You know, I mean, it's not right. It's not right. And I mean, I've tweeted out to you and Tom a couple of times, but the whole movement, the whole ADOS movement, I'm so down for it because we deserve it. Our people deserve it. You know, my grandmother passed, and she didn't have anything to leave for any of us. You know, and this was a couple of years back, but we don't have. You know, as a whole, I have one family member that's doing well. One family member, and he's not doing great. He's just well off. So I don't know. I'm just stuck. I'm really stuck.
Well,
I appreciate you.
I appreciate
and Tom. Huh?
No, I want to say I appreciate your honesty because what we don't really understand is that we most of us are stuck, and one of the problems that's happened is that most of us won't admit it to each other. Like, and we all go around and talk about how we're doing, and we won't admit like what is piecing our life together and what we've had to do. Everything from, you know, sell plasma to sell the car and, you know, and do what you do and watch other people live a wonderful life where they get to eat a porterhouse and a glass of Cabernet. And, you know, I think I appreciate your call. You know, as well, all ADOS. I'm sorry that what everybody's going through. This is horrible what we're having to live through. But what I will tell you is that, you know, what you're doing is very important because we got to get honest. Too many people are very dishonest about their life because of shame or whatever else. But one of my hopes is that once you know it's not your fault, like, I hope that we open up honesty and we can be a mirror to each other and see like what we're all going through, and that will help galvanize us and be like gas in the tank to keep us moving forward, because it can't end this way. It just can't. It should not.
Yeah, and another thing that I was thinking, like, this whole in Cobra thing and all these other groups, you know, I mean, I'm wondering if they're even thinking about what they're doing, because we could accomplish more together with this movement. It don't matter what name you choose to. I mean, I believe wholeheartedly in ADOS. But if you want to be called in Cobra, if you want to be called a Pan-Africanist, it doesn't matter. If everybody come together for the same thing, then, I mean, imagine 33 million people knocking on the doorsteps of Washington. Instead of, okay, I got this faction, this faction, this faction. I want this, I want that, I want this. When all of us really are looking for the same thing. We're looking for equality in tangible.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. You're right. And make sure you before you go, make sure you holler at the people in the chat. ADOS trying to help ADOS, so some people want to, you know, help you and put your information or whatever. But just make sure you holler at the people in the chat. Because the only thing we can do is do whatever we can to help each other. We can't do a lot, but, you know, it might be something. Or just, you know, whatever. Information, somebody was talking about some other opportunities, whatever. But just make sure you holler at the people in the chat, fam. And you know, like, It's not you, fam. Stay as strong as you can and do what you can. But yeah, we stuck. And it's not our fault. It's not because of when you see a group stuck like this does not mean this is when you see a group like this is not about individual agency. This is about something that somebody else got given to them that we didn't get given to us. And we're very clear on that now. We understand it and we cannot be lied to anymore, and that's why we're moving forward. So I wanna thank you, Carla, for your honesty and forthrightness in terms of exactly what has happened to your life. And I salute you for not running away and just doing something by yourself or whatever and just abandoning, everything in your life and your responsibilities and becoming, because some people, when life gets hard, they leave all their responsibilities and, go to drugs or whatever. And I understand. I'm not judging anyone when I say this, but I'm just saying, salute to you. You still standing. And that's a lot.
Well, thank you, ma'am. You stay blessed. And Tone, if you listen, well, I know you're listening. You stay blessed too, brother. Both of y'all stay safe.
Appreciate it, fam.
Stay safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be good as long as we got to support people like you out there. We'll be all right. So I appreciate that. We got to get honest, fam. We got to be a mirror to each other. Once you look around and you see everybody's going through some real stuff, then it starts to become apparent. Oh, my whole group is like, okay, yeah, we are. And if they ain't, somebody stealing from somebody. I'm going to 240. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Sister Yvette, what's going on? This is Ron for the DMV.
What's up with you?
Lady, everything is good. I just wanted to let everybody know, I'm trying to hit on last week. My heart goes out to the brother from Detroit that just called in. More than my heart, I'm gonna look for his chat to see what's going on with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to say that we were first in line at the hearing last week, at the HR 40 hearing. It was Moody, Marshall, Princess 6, Sister Put It Down. Reggie from Boston was there putting it down. Shirley, Twyla. We actually have a radio show that's coming on. So I just wanted to. But let me tell you who I didn't see there.
Who you ain't see?
That we talked about. We didn't see DACA people there supporting us. We didn't see the LGBT Rainbow Coalition. We don't see any rainbows in there in line in the hallway helping us. We didn't see women's rights.
No.
We didn't see any Asian rights. We didn't see any Native American groups. So why are we so busy putting all of our energies and efforts into everybody else intersectionality rights? When we do that, we lose. We still stay at the bottom. That chart that you guys showed is crucial. I had another chart that you guys had given us. It's crucial. We need to start being our own superheroes. Like that young brother that just called in. I'm Generation X. I'm like, okay, let's do for our people. Let's help ourselves out. And I had people saying, well, don't you feel bad for the babies at the border? I said, I feel bad for these babies that I see out here in the street. I came home one time, and there was a little 2-year-old in front of my house in diapers, and he was being watched by about a 3-year-old. So we need to start feeling bad for ourselves. We need to start making sure when I see members of the D9, and I'm a member of the D9, and we know what the D9 is, we're worried about the wrong things. We're worried about everybody else. Then I turn on TV on, and I see the same thing, the same story, because I don't really look at television news. I look at black media, which is you and Tone and a couple other people. But I start seeing about border babies in cages at the border, and I'm like, wow, they're echoing the propaganda that's being fed to them through the television. Turn the TV off, look at Breaking Brown, look at Tone Talks, learn something. I've seen very intelligent people, even in my own family, that are talking about intersectionality. Well, you mean we can't talk about ADOS rights and women's rights and intersectionality? And I'm like, no. Matter of fact, do me a favor, give me a call. You know my number, because I don't want to sit here and just. It's going to seem like I'm tearing you down on social media. I don't want to do that. So I've noticed, if you have it too, I've noticed an increase and more ADOS at the gas station and at the grocery stores, and they're out there asking for money. And I'm like, brother, I have $20 to put into my tank. That's it. But I mean, soon I'm feared that it's going to be like they're going to be at a point where they're not going to ask for it anymore. They're going to be so desperate as to try to. I mean, it's a homeless camp that's behind the shopping center near me. People have it's starting to be a tent city, and we're talking about a block and a piece away from the Southeast DC line. There's a homeless camp right behind the shopping center. So while you're in shopping, these people are behind. They're out trying to hustle money in the daytime, and in the evening, they're out sleeping behind the shopping center. So we need to do what we need to start focusing on us. That's one of my main reasons for calling in. And
let me just say one thing, Ross. One of the things people understand, it's not discriminatory to focus on the thing that's most consequential to your life. There's a reason why LGBT focus on like the right to marry, right? Because they wanted to be included. When you talk about the LGBT movement, it was about being included in American life. Just like, but we still have. So when you talk about that was most consequential in terms of that movement. There's nothing wrong. When you talk about not seeing rainbow flags, that nobody focused on us. So then the thing is, the people want to call us discriminatory by saying, well, we're going to focus on the thing that's most consequential in our life. And that is race and what race has inflicted up on us as in terms of being a bottom caste. We have to, and we're drowning now. It's not even like, race made us made us be worth 300,000 while white America's worth 500,000. It's not that kind of thing. We're drowning. So the idea, and nobody's trying to pull us out. What you just said, that's the same thing that I said when I talked to the Angela Project, when I talked to Christians. I said, I didn't see you there. I said, I've been looking at Twitter all morning, and I've seen my people there, but I didn't see you there. So where these people show up shows you that, like, there is no real solidarity. Nobody's really showing up for us to advocate for us. So how does anybody think they have a right to demand us show up anywhere, anytime, any place for anything?
Exactly, and that was my point to a lot of people. Like, okay, you expect for us to be loud and strong for your cause, but we're not doing that anymore. This generation, as a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm pushing for, and I'm hoping that the generation Y and whatever are coming up are understanding that we're sitting here bleeding to death, and you're worrying about somebody with a scratch. We can't do that. We're still going to, as long as we all focus on everybody, we're all going to win. I said, no, that's not how it works. That's not what the data supports. And I'm not only to share that information.
Not only that, Ross, what happens is not only are we not going to win, what happens is everybody else talks about themselves as the new black, right, in some kind of new way. And so what happens is we are the doormat to everyone else winning. So people walk into the winner circle over our doormat. You just keep being the doormat for everybody else to win, but you don't win, and everybody knows it but you.
We become the shoes. So thank you, Yvette. I want you to keep on pushing, sister. I know it's rough, but hey, we in it together. And I will see you October 4th and 5th.
I look forward to meeting you, Rod. I look forward to it. Thank you. And I think,
all right, sis.
You too, sis. I think what we're talking about, imagine like being on a luxury liner, right? And like, it's a luxury liner, champagne popping, caviar over here. You're in the bottom of the ship drowning. So you're not just drowning like out by yourself. You're in the bottom drowning. And the people who like are up here but are not drowning are like, why? You could do something else for me. Like, I need you to. What are you talking about drowning down here and you eat caviar and popping champagne? I'm in the wealthiest country in the world and I'm wealthless down here drowning. And I built the ship. What? How do you get to ask me anything? I'm going right now to 214. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Sharon Williams.
What's going on?
And I have a
Hey, I have a couple of things for you. One, earlier you showed the picture of Obama and President Trump, and Trump saying that he doesn't believe in reparations. A couple of months ago, Dr. Darity was on PBS on a Q&A, and the moderator of that Q&A, her opening comments were referring to Obama discrediting reparations. So it's like he did us such a disservice. And in the light of everything, it would be nice if he could come back and retract that statement, so that to take that, to take that argument away from people.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, I said that's interesting because that's something that he could do. You're right. He could come back and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I hadn't thought it through. I was wrong. I hadn't seen as much of the data. That's a very good point. That's an interesting point. Go on. Continue your point, Carl. I'm sorry.
No, but in that, I think that was my main point. To be honest, I have much after that other than that was a really good PBS theme because there was an opponent who was throwing up all sorts of things like welfare was our reparations, and Dr. Darity disputed that and explained what welfare really was for, which I would have been fooled by that argument. I would have, welfare could have been our reparations, but
welfare is just something that American citizens who are poor get. It's a class. It's not. It has nothing to do, and it's not something that's given to like make a specific group whole. It's what you get if you're poor. That's not reparations. I don't know what's wrong with everybody. But
I know. That's true. One other thing. I think your call last time we talked about college and how forgiving our debt won't really help us. And even if they forgive our debts and say some of us who are ADOS, get a little leg up, it still doesn't help us in the corporate world because we have no allies. We have no one in the executive parts of the company. So we're like sitting ducks. When they go to start cutting people and they cut us first, we have nobody to throw us a lifeline or anything. So even those people who are out there thinking that they're doing okay because they're in corporate America, if you walk past those conference rooms and you see those men around the table and none of them look like you, then you're sitting ducks.
Sometimes even if they look like you're sitting duck. Sometimes what happens? You want to be the HNIC in charge. I want to be the only Negro so I can act up, and you don't get to see me act up because I don't want to be judged.
That is so true. That is so true. But I didn't have much. I just wanted to say I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I appreciate just getting the knowledge and being given a political education. And like you said, it's not going to be a fast thing. If people would go to stuff like their city town hall meetings and those kind of things, so they can see the pace of government. So it's not going to be like some movie where you just bust through the gates. It's going to be it's a slow paced thing, but it's a necessary thing, and you have to start like at the local levels and just get used to the slowness and the boredom and tedium of politics, but keep at it because it's like that little drip that creates the Grand Canyon, right? It's like the constant drip, and then finally it busts through.
Yeah, one drop is all it takes for water torture. So that's what it is. So I appreciate it, fam. I thank you for
calling. Thank you very much.
But I think that's a very good point. Like Obama needs to take that back. Like he needs to take that back. I might tweet him. Take that back. You need to say I was wrong. God, the least you were such a failure for us. The least you could do is just say I messed up. And I didn't even have really a right to like say what I said. That's the least you could do. Jeez, not like you've been much else. 919, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. This is Indiana from North Carolina.
What's going on?
So, the bills, life, all that. But to, go ahead, get to the point. Forgive me if I'm not exactly where you are, because I kind of hopped in like 20 minutes coming from work and all that into, your discussion.
Okay.
But to talk about beyond data and debates and all that, I want to say, like, self-interest is never a character flaw for any other group of people, culturally, racially, none of that. Only when it's us.
Yeah.
And, for instance, like, immigrants, even first, second, third generation immigrants who were born here, and, we've given them that right of birthright citizenship, they don't have to learn American history, whereas reparations, just like slavery, Jim Crow, and the Civil Rights Movement, is a very historical part of America. Like, in previous decades of history books, it had a literal context. Like, you saw the word reparations for American slaves in the freaking history books, mind you. Like, it was based on political policy because of government, disenfranchisement. This isn't just like something we decided we needed because our feelings hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And oftentimes when we hear, this is especially on social media, when I said here, but like read on social media, where people are like, black isn't a monolith and new black and all that. They're talking about being black immigrants, but then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we all actually live the same black life. It's like, hold up. But you literally just said black isn't a monolith. Like, which side are you on here? Okay?
It's a contradiction.
Like, you can't. Right. The contradiction. Like, you can't double dip, skip, hop. You can't do none of that. Like, make up your mind. Either you are who you are, or you want to, be on our team. Now, this is more so an observation. Again, beyond like data. As far as like black or American descendants of slavery life, it ranges from like the disdain for us, so to speak, goes from the political to like the extreme petty. What I mean by that is, noticing on my job, like, oftentimes people who come to apply, it's usually black people, and just because you can see usually now in facial features what a black American looks like and what an immigrant looks like.
You finna get yourself in all kinds of trouble. I'm not a part of this trouble.
Well, look, this is me saying me. That's how I judge people at times, okay? I've very, 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 very rarely been wrong, okay? But, for instance, or even like Hispanic people, they granted, immigrants, they do have to deal with being oppressed based on white supremacy, but they are privy to certain privileges. For instance, in a regular 9-to-5, this is what I've witnessed now, they have the benefit of not having their references checked. They have the privilege of getting a second chance at a job they got fired from, or that they quit without notice. You know what I mean? Something as simple as being listened to when they complain and someone understanding them. Something that simple versus, a black American person being told, just don't worry about it, get over it, and it's like, no, like, in order for me to keep doing my job well, I have to be comfortable. I shouldn't have to tolerate someone's ignorance, someone's stupidity, someone else's laziness, and you expect me to pick up the pieces, pick up the slack, to be a mule. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what we are. We're mules to carry somebody else's bag over the thing.
Right, and see, okay, and this is, again, talking to, like, other ADOS people, it's like, when I'm trying to tell them, meritocracy doesn't always get you the top spot or get you in advance, and they're like, no, if you work hard enough, and I'm like, how long have you been working in the same position and you just now getting the 10-cent raise?
Oh.
And right, and a freaking 16-year-old little white teenage girl, she already starts off at $10 an hour, and you just at $9.50. You've been here for what, 5-7 years? Like, what sense does that make to you? It's frustrating. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes these people, they're living through it, but it's like, I can't think of the word right now, but they're just, it's some type of mental disability, I'll say, that they just want to really maybe some type of shucking and jiving. I don't know. It's just some BS.
I understand, fam.
And
I understand, believe
it's
you.
like no matter what you do, how well you do it, I guess they just want to go along and get along or what have you. But that's as far as what I want to say as far as like going beyond the data and living day to day, being around people, just in a regular 9-to-5 daily life, people in school and things like that. Like no one else has to think or feel like their self-interest is wrong.
I agree with you, Carla. I agree with you. I'm gonna let somebody else in, but
unfair. But
thank you. I appreciate the call. But yeah, I think the point she was made before, y'all trying to walk me out on some kind of cliff. But no, I don't, because I don't know about it. Some of y'all out in the chat, y'all was funny in the chat. But what I will say is that, yeah, nobody else it's a given. It's a given that that's what you're supposed to do. Everybody's supposed to fight for their own self-interest. It's only with us. It's like, why are you fighting for yourself? What you mean? Like you don't want to drown, or you don't want to go over here and pick the cotton, or whatever we want. Like you don't want, or you want to be an American. Like yeah, what you mean? What are you talking about? So I'm going to the next call. I'm gonna try to get a couple more in. I am going to 803. 803. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Mark from Asheville, North Carolina. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I am good. Hold on, let me turn this thing down because I got you going. Okay. Yeah, that brother from Detroit, he really touched my heart, and I've been a single parent, so I know what he's going through. But he really needs to take his butt down to the VA, though, and, and file a claim because he has a mood disorder. And they will give him a check for his mood disorder for the rest of his life.
Oh, is that right?
And that's right. He needs to get down there and file his claim and connect his claim back to the VA, and as if he were standing in the boots of some of them other brothers that came back from World War II that didn't get anything. And so, and I'm a disabled veteran, so I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But he needs to go down there and file his claim. It's all about paperwork. If you ain't got him in front of him, you can't reject it.
It's all about paperwork.
But yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say was, I saw y'all down in Birmingham, and I like your shoes. I don't know what everybody else is talking about.
Hey, you know how they don't nobody want to step out and be bold. Sometimes you have to step out and be bold.
Yeah, I know. But listen, y'all are doing the work, and for all of us who support you, we just need to keep supporting and quit what ifing ourselves. Ain't nothing gonna happen. We just need to keep coming. I look at y'all like I know that Tone ain't into no football because he was smart enough not to play that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like we got good quarterbacks. Just run the damn play. We don't need to be what ifing you. I have learned more from you and Tone and Arami and Dr. Darity in the last couple of 3 years. And I'm a fairly well-read person. And I'm like, wow. But I know the truth when I hear it. And y'all speaking that truth, and it's starting to catch. It's like this smolder. And pretty soon, the fire's going to be on fire. And it's going to be nothing they can do with it.
Yeah.
And so we just need to stay the course and support our team. And that's it. You come to practice. If you play in some little position over here, you don't get to call no plays. You just practice hard. Go take a shower.
And then you don't get to run your own play because then the whole team don't know what's going on because you were supposed to be over there.
That's right.
You were supposed to be all the way over there on the left side of the field, and now you're on the right side of the field because you done made up a whole nother play, and none of us know what your play is. But you come over there. Well, I thought this would be better. We didn't know. We gotta be. This is a team sport. Just like wealth is a team. Wealth is a team sport. Everything is a team. Politics is a team thing. You can't just be over here. If you want to play, we all listen to. It's not like we are people who don't hear anything anybody else has to say, but people just be out here just running their own plays. And I'm thinking I'm finna do a little short pass, and I look up and you all the way down the field. What you doing down there? Who told you to go down there?
Exactly. And I have 6 children. My daughter was, she's getting married. She was planning a wedding. And I let her go ahead and plan her wedding and tried to help her as much as I could. But finally she figured it out that she could not afford the kind of wedding that, that she wanted. Even with my help. And I'm 60 years old. I still work a regular job. And, I get a little VA check every month. But that's not enough. And, and right as it stands right now, I'm getting ready to start a new job. When I walk into that job, I have some specific goals. And that's to go in there and be able to pay life insurance policies and put my grandchildren's name down there as beneficiary and get a 401k. So my kids my grandchildren have some kind of wealth transfer if it ain't nothing but a used Honda Accord to go off to South Carolina State with, because these things are all important. And, when y'all bring the data to it, like, what Tone talked about yesterday and about, what Bernie was talking about and how, it sounds real good until you break it down, until you actually do the math. What's on both sides of the equal sign? And, it doesn't work well for us. And, we need to keep reparations in the front of everything else. Yeah, you want to do that? After reparations. You want to do that? Yeah, after
Absolutely.
reparations.
Priority is key.
For all the Brick and Brown family that's listening right now, we just need to stay behind our quarterback. They calling the plays, run the damn play. That's all I got to say. And I like you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. And let me just say that was a very good call. Like even the political education part. Everybody has keys. Everybody knows a lot of stuff that they need to do. And Paul Irony, everybody butchers his name. People be like, I want to thank Yvette, Tone, and Salami. but I appreciate it. I appreciate it, caller. You're absolutely right. Let me see if I can get another call in here. I'm going to 415. Let's see if we can make it quick and get through a couple. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Muhammad Khalil bin Abdullah, calling from the Bay Area. I wanted to touch on a few things, legal points and some historical points. I think a lot of people, especially within the black community, well, not think, I know because I'm hearing it, they don't understand the real history of the native people of this land. The original native people were black, okay? The black natives...
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm so sorry. I'm not doing that. We were here first and there was no slavery, or it was only a few, or not even engaging in it. Going to 718. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you turn your background down a little bit?
What? Okay, I'm turning it down.
Okay.
Yes. Hello?
I'm here. Hello?
Yes, my name is Phyllis, and I'm calling from Staten Island.
Okay. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Yes, I turned it to you a little late because I watched the debate for the Democrat debate. Right. And I was very disappointed, and I felt really left out, that we were actually left out again. Because I didn't hear anything about reparations or anything about the black agenda.
Yeah, they're trying to change the subject. So I'm not surprised. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch it, but I wasn't surprised at all. Make sure you turn your background down so we don't cross talk. But I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. They're gonna keep trying to change this subject because they know they don't have an answer. They're not. Well, they don't want to.
Right.
They don't want to give us the actual answer, right? They don't want to do that.
Yes, that's right.
But
And
understand.
so
But
I
understand.
No, they don't want to
Understand. We have two debates. So we don't know what will happen in the next one in terms of like when that conversation is going to happen or if that conversation is going to happen. But I think the thing that we have to do is make sure that we are proactive in terms of just not necessarily being reactionary. Because what I see a lot of people do is they get real reactionary. Well, they're not going to do it, so what we going to do? Like, no, we have to be proactive. We're going to do what we're going to do. You know, they got so many candidates this time around. They had to split everybody into 20 or however many, and some people even got cut out. It's the most they've ever had before in life.
And like you always say,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And like you always say, this is not a short-term thing, but we in it for the long run, and we're going to stay in it. And like you always say, we got to stay on code and just make sure that we do what we need to do to push it as much as we can.
All right, I appreciate it, caller. I appreciate it. I appreciate you calling in. But yeah, like I'll see what's gonna happen. I'll see if it gets ignored in the second debate as well. But either way, that doesn't stop my push in terms of what I want to do and what I'm doing. So it is what it is. But I don't think you're not gonna get away, like, you know, because that's what we normally do. Like we normally say we want something, then we'll get the thing we want, and then we say, well, you know, I guess the thing that I wanted wasn't that important anyway, and I can't let Mitt Romney get in there. I can't let Bush get in there. I gotta do what I gotta do. And I think we're at a point where we realize that, like, we don't really have a choice. Like, we don't really have a choice anymore. So, fam, we are at the 2-hour mark, so we are going to end it here. Do not forget August 1st, how the Irish became white. We're going to read that. That's going to be the next in our political education series. Also, fam, please, 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 please make sure you hit that like button. Costs you no money to just hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell to get notifications. Go to subscribetobrown.com too. And make sure you add your name to my mailing list if it's not already there. I would appreciate that. That is free. It don't cost you anything. So if you could do that, that would be great. You can just hit the like button, you know, as you head out, fam. And we will talk. We're going to have a conversation again soon. But do not be perturbed, frustrated, and let nobody make you feel a way that you don't want to feel. The trolls are out. The professors are out. Now I understand how I had so much bad politics that's going on with the Howard University professors. I see you. Now I understand why my politics was so bad when I left Howard. I was so crazy and just, this just what it is. And now I get it. Now I understand. I have to fix some stuff. Because I don't know what y'all doing. Y'all spend more time challenging me online than writing your syllabus. Write a syllabi. Write some syllabi. Some journal articles. Do your work. Anyway, fam. Please, please, please finish your libations. Enjoy your evening. And we'll talk again.